Hi there, new subscriber here from Australia. I was wondering how long you were in an MLM and how did you start to see through it? Thank you so much for this question. I was in multi-level marketing for 5 years in the Mon8 multi-level marketing company, but simultaneously I was part of an MLM coaching cult called Rank Makers, and it was my involvement in Rank Makers that really contributed to me waking up. You might not know this, but there's this whole other industry that is existing alongside multi-level marketing. So most people in multi-level marketing are losing money. They have to, because these things are fraud. But because most people are losing money, then there's this opportunity for coaches. A lot of people have been in multi-level marketing companies. They realize, oh, the money to be made is either opening up my own multi-level marketing company or becoming a coach, where they can coach all these people who are guaranteed to be failing. And they're going to teach you how to improve your mindset, get out of scarcity, think about abundance, create better marketing material, do better live videos. The training is endless. So my involvement in this group, I was doing a lot of activity, both being in Mon8 and in this group called Rank Makers. It's no exaggeration that as soon as I got up in the morning to as soon as I went to bed, I was working on this business. And work would comprise of attending a lot of trainings. Most of this is done online. So watching a lot of these videos where you're just getting further and further indoctrinated and conditioned. So how I started to see through this, it was about the last year and a half. TikTok was just starting to become popular. And I was one of the first people within multi-level marketing to get over on TikTok. And I found it was really fun. I had the freedom to just create. And I didn't want to create content with an intro question content call to action that I was like trained. It was just like hammered into me. This is how you're supposed to create content when you're on Facebook and Instagram. I was making, all this content, trying to reach people, doing all this work, sending out all these messages every day. On TikTok, I could just play. I could video my cat. I could video myself singing different songs like Pearl Jam and Stone Temple Pilots with a disco light filter singing into my hairbrush. Had a good community over there. I didn't have to try to recruit anybody into Mon8 or to encourage them then to sign up for Rank Makers. It was so much fun. But because I was going against what was being taught in Rank Makers, I started to get a lot of pushback from the leader in this group. And then consequently, all these other people in the group too, my peers. A lot of the things that go on in a cult is like peer regulation, things that are just unsaid, but you'll feel this pressure to conform. And I was running into that. At the same time, I started to really get successful on TikTok. I was getting a lot of followers. That's, if you want to call that success, it's just a number, it's just a metric. But needless to say, I was growing and it was fun. And I immediately understood the power of learning how to tell a compelling story in 15 seconds or less, and then getting this trending music and a trending hashtag. At the time when I was on in 2019, I think I wasn't one of the first people on. I think I was maybe like the second wave of like people to get on TikTok, but it was early enough where you get in at the right time and you're able to build a pretty good size audience. It was different than it is today. Every day you would see on this page, they'd have like this discover page and they would show the different trends of the day. I'd never seen anything like it. Nobody on Facebook or Instagram had ever seen anything like this. So you could be getting something really new and fresh. You could be exercising your creativity, and then you could use that content and post it on Instagram or Facebook, and it's going to look unlike anybody else's content out there, which is appealing. You can then attract people to your business. So even though I was making all this content, predominantly just messing around and hitting different buttons, trying different filters and participating in different trends and just being really cringe. I just was having such the time of my life doing live videos and just creating this whole other community, because I was getting so much pushback from this group Rank Makers. I was like, yeah, but what you're saying doesn't add up, because my experience is completely different. This is an incredible new platform. Just learning the skills, how to tell a short story, you can use this to do a testimonial. These are skills that you can use to create content. And I was starting to get like insulted and they're like, the leader of the group would call it ding dong. So I was being mocked like publicly. And if you're in a cult, that's like, you're just getting more attention, like negative attention drawn to you. And that's never a good thing. And when I had been in this group, I had like this really weird kind of status in this group because of there was these things called 14-day challenges, which I was like constantly either placing or winning in these things. And that's a whole other story. I've done a lot of content on that. So, but needless to say, to be kind of held in like as some kind of good example in high regard, and then also be targeted and mocked, that didn't sit well with me. And I was getting confident because I had created this other community. I was loving creating content, learning new skills anyway, just making content for the sheer joy of it, and then doing these live videos, that I didn't bend as easily to just somebody saying, well, this is just ding dong, you're just so stupid for being on this, until things started to shift when it was undeniable that TikTok was this behemoth, this force that needed to be reckoned with. And then he asked me to actually do a training, which I did. It was at just under 20 minutes. And then he sold that to all these people. He wrapped it up with this course, and he never paid me for it. It still didn't like it. I didn't get it at the time. I was still brainwashed, but that was one of the first things where I had to get personally screwed over for the veil to finally start lifting. It was that moment. From there, I started to gradually wake up, start to see more contradictions, start to see the lies, which then it got faster and faster and faster. It was like an acceleration. To me, it felt like I was rushing on a roller coaster, and it was just getting faster and faster and faster. Like the awareness started happening, but it started off it was like the winter of 2019. And then like another, year and a half of going through COVID, March 2020 hits. And then around middle of March 2021, I watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix, and I was really rattled. I could see how I was being manipulated by being on social media so much. I was on a lot. I needed to take time off social media. I could recognize that I wasn't in control, even though I was still in both Mon8 and Rank Makers. So I decided after, 3.5 years of constantly doing every single day, not missing a day of these ridiculous live videos, to stop doing them. And I made a Facebook post, and it was either the next day or the day after, the leader of Rank Makers made a training about me, saying something like she capitulated to haters. It was just so weird. If you can imagine, like somebody just saying, I'm not going to do live videos anymore. It's been a great experience, but it's time to, it's just time to do other things. It's like he took it almost as a threat, which it is, because you're not behaving like the cult needs you to behave. So somebody that had been held up in high esteem, this is how you should behave, this is the way you should be making these videos, and now is saying they're not going to be doing any content anymore. Well, we can't have that. That was the last day that I was in that group. I woke up the next morning or the day after, and I saw, your notifications on Facebook. I don't know if you're on Facebook. If you're not, it's probably a good idea. Eventually, I'm going to get off Facebook, but I'm now helping other people exit these cults. So anyway, I saw all these notifications. My name had been tagged. He made this video about me, and I didn't watch the video. I didn't need to, because I saw the comments being made. I could figure it out what was going on. And plus, I had people reach out to me. My coach had reached out to me, a friend had reached out to me, and one of his employees had reached out to me saying, I don't care, basically, mixed bag of messages, but all of them were supportive of me. They're like, I don't care what he says about you. It's your choice. You get to decide to do with what you want to do with your life. What the hell is going on here? Why would somebody even care if I stopped doing live videos? Now, keep in mind, I still hadn't figured out how him taking my training and then bundling it up and selling it, not paying me anything for it, was wrong, because you're still in this state of delusion. I had respected him so much, just like you do with any of these leaders of these groups. You think, oh, they're so full of integrity. Surely they would just automatically offer something. Oh, how naive I was. So that was about mid-March 2021. In May 2021, May 21st, 2021, my dad passed away. And that caused me to really take a look at what I had been part of. I was still in Mon8, but that was another like push for me to get out. I was looking back at all the time that I had wasted on doing live videos over the years. I was grateful for the time that I had with my dad. And at the same time, I'm still in Mon8. I'm still trying to work my business. I still had a business page at that time. And I remember I've talked about this. I posted about this intense repair shampoo and how I was so grateful that I had this shampoo, because I knew that in about 3 months' time, because my dad had passed away, I'd experienced so much stress that I was probably going to experience hair loss. Thank goodness for Mon8. But I'm starting to wake up. I'm starting to take in anti-MLM content now too. I'm looking on anti-MLM Reddit, and I'm reading people's comments giving examples of people like me using like a death to sell their products. And I couldn't understand why they were so angry. I couldn't understand it. I knew I was trying to. I couldn't understand it. I saw Lula Rich at some point during this time. That really started to wake me up. Then I knew I couldn't sell Mon8 anymore. Just watching that, I thought, wow, this is wrong. It still hadn't fully sunk in what I was part of, but I knew I wasn't going to be selling Mon8 anymore. Then there was Monations. This was this large group awareness training. A lot of multi-level marketing companies have these conventions. Some of them have them once a year. Some of them have them multiple times a year. I virtually attended this one. I forget where it was. And there was this huge religious push. It was so much about religion and Jesus. And I didn't sign up for this. I was embarrassed about even, signing up a customer or potentially recruiting somebody into this. It's like, what are you signing up for? So I'm like, no, I'm going to let my distributor status lapse, my market partner status lapse. I had signed up in May. That had been May 2017. And I thought, well, I'm just going to fade away. I'll just let it lapse. I'm just going to be out. But because I had started to get this more and more growing awareness, I was trying to understand why it was so wrong to use the death of a loved one to sell and recruit into your multi-level marketing pyramid scheme. And I'm like, I'm missing something here. I was really unsettled by it. I was looking at Lula Rich. I started to look at other anti-MLM content, and then it was like the roller coaster. It was getting faster and faster and faster. I picked up a book from Stephen Hassan, Freedom of Mind and Combating Cult Mind Control. I started to work through Robert Fitzpatrick's book, Ponzi-nomics. And it from, I guess, the fall of 2021 till the end of mid-December 2021, I went from, I'm going to just let my distributor status lapse in May to I need to get out now. I need to send an email into Mon8. I don't want to have any money. This money is like blood money. I can't touch it. It's disgusting. I need to get out. I need to shut down my groups. I need to let people know that what this is and how dangerous this is. And that's how it happened. So it was from, about the end of 2019, that process of having things happen to me where I had to see how I was being screwed over and mistreated to help me wake up. Now, even while I was waking up through this, and even when I finally got out, there was so much guilt and shame that I had to experience pain. I had to go through something in order to wake up. I felt so much guilt and shame that the abuse that happened to my friends and other people that I knew wasn't enough. I didn't even see it. I didn't even see it in the same way that I didn't even see how wrong it was to use death to try to recruit somebody or sell a product. I just didn't see it. These things are cults. People that say brainwashing isn't real, you haven't met somebody in a multi-level marketing pyramid scheme yet, or you have and you're just in denial about it. Not you, but just like people in general. That's my story. Thank you so much for this question.
Party rock! Yeah. Woo! Yeah. Let's go. Party rock is in the house.
just have a good time.
Yeah.